Marley is the most famous Labrador in town, not for his excellent obedience but for his mischievousness. Everyone trembles at the mention of his name. One of Marley's greatest hobbies is watching his parents engage in a romantic encounter. Unable to tolerate it any longer, one day, the couple decides to send him to a training camp. However, Marley remains restless and pays no attention to the trainer. He rolls on the ground in protest and goes around, causing havoc and disrupting order. Soon, his mischievous behavior infuriates the trainer, who resorts to their ultimate method by blowing a whistle. Under normal circumstances, a dog would obediently listen upon hearing this kind of whistle, but Marley is fearless. He rushes over at full speed in seconds, humping the trainer. Enraged, the trainer kicks Marley out, believing that his behavior will negatively influence the other dogs. Later, on their way back home, Marley finds the inside of the car too hot and sticks his head out for some fresh air. However, that's not satisfying enough for him. He even attempts to jump out of the car window and run away. With no other choice, John, his owner, has to hold onto Marley's hind legs and walk in a funny manner until they reach home. John always calls Marley the worst dog in the world. He is also John's very first dog, but unfortunately, John never gets the chance to experience the simple joys of walking side by side or playing fetch with sticks alongside Marley. However, all the blame should rest on John, as he decided to get a pet to delay his baby plans with Jenny. John and Jenny married 2 years ago, and both work as journalists. However, currently, John is facing a career barrier while Jenny excels at her job. Jenny always lives her life adhering to a strict checklist. They have already gotten married and moved to a new apartment, and the next step, according to the plan, is to have a baby. Adding to his frustration, John decides to heed his friend Sebastian's suggestion to get a Labrador, known for being easy to train, in order to divert Jenny's persistent nagging about having a child. The following day, John surprises Jenny by blindfolding her and taking her to a puppy store. They see a bunch of adorable puppies, but one particularly gentle and affectionate puppy captures Jenny's heart. The seller offers them a reduced price, and Jenny humorously refers to the puppy as their clearance dog. Shortly after, Jenny has to leave for a business trip and asks John to take care of the puppy. John assures her that everything will be fine and expresses his jealousy about her covering a big tax evasion story. They realize they still need to give the puppy a name. While driving home, John tries different names but struggles to decide. He turns on the radio, and a Bob Marley song plays. The dog seems to respond to the song, so John names him Marley. At home, John feeds Marley, who displays a big appetite. During the night, John initially keeps Marley in the garage, but due to his incessant barking, John has no choice but to bring him inside and allow him to sleep by his side. The next morning, John wakes up in a total mess as Marley has torn the pillow apart. Much in a hurry, he decides to leave Marley in the garage again while picking up Jenny from the airport. They encounter a raging hurricane on their way. Jenny eagerly asks about the puppy. However, when they arrive home, they are shocked to see the garage in ruins. Marley caused extensive damage that not even flex tape can fix. Instead of scolding Marley, Jenny treats him with love and care. The following day, John reflects on his lack of fulfillment while hanging out with Sebastian, who has returned from his assignment in Colombia. John contemplates his options and the possibility of freelancing like Sebastian. Excited, he shares his newfound ambition with Jenny when he returns home, suggesting they delay their baby plans. Unfortunately, Jenny reveals that she is already pregnant. John and Jenny anxiously await their first sonogram appointment. The doctor examines them multiple times and eventually delivers the devastating news of a miscarriage. John suggests a trip to Ireland to help them heal. As they prepare to depart, they arrange for a sitter to care for Marley. Jenny leaves a note with instructions for her, emphasizing Marley's spirited nature and advising her to keep the toilet lid closed, take him for walks, and prevent him from chewing on furniture. When the couple returns, the sitter angrily confronts them, complaining about the thunderstorms and the havoc Marley wreaked in the house. She even calls Marley an evil creature with a dog's face. A few days later, Jenny becomes pregnant again. And a few months later, she gives birth to a baby boy named Patrick. One evening, as Jenny and John discuss their lives before their child, they hear a scream outside. John rushes to investigate and finds their neighbor stabbed. This incident solidifies John's determination to move to a safer neighborhood. He drives through a posh area and spots a house he likes. When he returns home, he excitedly shares his discovery with Jenny, but before he can say more, she reveals that she is pregnant once again. She also informs him that she plans to quit her job to be a more present mother. John asks his boss for a raise, but the boss agrees only if John takes the job permanently. John accepts the condition and they move to the nicer neighborhood. With the arrival of their new baby, Connor, everything appears perfect on the surface, but life becomes challenging for Jenny. Exhausted from caring for the children and dealing with Marley's disobedience, she can't find a babysitter due to people's fear of Marley. When John returns home, Jenny presents him with an ultimatum: either the dog goes or she goes. To ease the tense situation, John takes Marley to Sebastian's home, with a reminder to collect him in 2 days since Sebastian is moving after his job with the New York Times. That night, Jenny apologizes to John and asks him to bring Marley back. They both realize their mistakes and agree not to have any more children for a while. After a few years, the Grogan family welcomes a baby girl named Colleen. When Jenny and the newborn baby are greeted, Connor jokingly announces that his dad told them the baby's name is Whoops, leading to laughter and a memorable picture. Months pass, and the Grogans enjoy a happy life together. While playing ball by the pool, John receives a call from the Philadelphia Inquirer. When he shares the news with Jenny, he quickly assures her that he won't accept the offer because they are content in South Florida. On John's 40th birthday, he takes Marley to the beach and decides to set him free for the first time. Marley joyfully plunges into the sea, inspiring other dog owners to unleash their dogs as well. However, when Marley urinates in the water, causing annoyance among others, John rushes to retrieve him, but the damage is already done. Returning home, John is surprised by a birthday party organized by Jenny. After the celebration, they sit by the pool, and Jenny kisses John, granting him permission to take the job in Philadelphia. The next day, John quits his current job, leaving his boss a little emotional. The Grogan family embarks on a drive to their new home in Philadelphia, which is even larger than their previous one. Upon arrival, Marley immediately breaks a decoration, reminding them of his mischievous nature. In his new job, John writes serious articles, but his boss isn't impressed and wants more factual content and fewer opinions. When John comes home, his family embraces him on the porch, and Jenny invites them inside for dinner. As they climb the stairs, they notice that Marley's energy has diminished. Later, John shares his boss's remarks and expresses missing his old job. Jenny, usually understanding, advises him to figure out what he truly wants and find peace with it. She acknowledges that life may be different from their initial expectations but emphasizes her love for their current situation. At night, John lets Marley out, but a sudden storm begins, prompting them to search for him. After some time, John discovers Marley curled up under a tree, visibly unhealthy. John rushes Marley to the vet, who explains that Marley's stomach is twisted. The vet prepares John for the worst, as this is a common condition that could recur even if Marley recovers. John tries to convince the vet, and himself, that Marley is different from other dogs, recalling the time Marley swallowed an answering machine. When John returns home, he finds Jenny reading cutouts of his columns. She praises the columns and suggests that he compile them into a book someday. The next morning, John receives a call that Marley is fine and can come home. A few days later, Patrick and Connor excitedly race Marley to the house as they come home from school. Meanwhile, John encounters Sebastian while walking to work with a colleague. They briefly discuss work but soon shift to family matters. Owen shares a picture of his beautiful family, and they laugh together about Marley's infamous incidents. When John arrives home, he notices that Marley seems down and decides to take him for a walk. They find a peaceful spot, and John tells Marley to give him a sign when his time comes. At night, Marley lies in front of the fireplace as Jenny and John check on him. Seeing his comfort, they decide to cover him with a blanket. The next day, John attempts to persuade his chief editor to give him his own column. His boss reminds him that he left his column to become a serious reporter. However, John expresses that the job doesn't suit him and believes he could excel in writing columns. During their conversation, a colleague informs John that his wife is on the phone with urgent news. John rushes home, and Jenny informs him that Marley has been unresponsive in the same spot since morning. The children gather around Marley, with Patrick tearfully saying goodbye and hugging him, while Colleen gives him her sheep doll and asks him not to eat the other ear. John waits in the clinic hallway, and the vet informs him that Marley's stomach has twisted again. Surgery is the only remaining option, but John knows Marley is too old and weak for the procedure. The vet leaves them alone briefly. John shares heartfelt words with Marley, expressing that he was the greatest dog in the world and that the family never meant it when they called him the worst dog ever. After saying goodbye, John tells the doctor it's time to let Marley go. Marley slowly closes his eyes, and the kids watch old tapes of themselves, with Marley present in each one. Colleen and Connor prepare speeches and a picture, while Patrick simply acknowledges that Marley already knows. Before burying him, Jenny decides to give Marley the necklace he once swallowed. As John walks toward the house, he reflects on the profound bond between humans and dogs. Considering it the best relationship, he sees his family, realizing that Marley played a significant role in creating this loving unit. If you like my channel or enjoy watching me dance, please leave a comment in the comment section saying dance, Adam.